I was the unwelcome child bride brought up to be Marcus Reed's wife. But after the Reed estate fell from grace, they entrusted their only hope to me. Repaying a debt of gratitude, I traversed the country with Marcus Reed, tirelessly raising him. With my help, the Reed family regained its peak. But at Reed Corporation's celebration banquet, he introduced another girl to me. Stella, Scarlett and I are getting married. We're hoping you can handle the wedding preparations for us. I smiled and agreed, but as soon as I turned away, I booked an abortion procedure at the hospital. I thought, it was time for me to leave. 1. When Marcus Reed returned, I had just dug up the jasmine plant on the balcony. He had given me this jasmine plant before he went abroad. He said I was most like a jasmine plant, seemingly delicate but in fact resilient. But that was because he had never seen my vulnerable side. Just like now, he hugged me from behind, so close, yet he never noticed the tear tracks on my face. The smell of alcohol mixed with designer cologne filled my nostrils as he nuzzled my ear. Stella, why did you leave early? Are you mad at me, huh? I didn't respond, afraid that if I spoke, I would expose the resentment in my heart. He chuckled softly, tightening his arm around me. Stella, please don't be mad at me, okay? You know, everything I do is for Reed Corporation. Reed Corporation has just found its footing, and only by a strategic marriage with the Hayes family can I firmly secure its position. You understand me, don't you, Stella? My eyes welled up uncontrollably. I looked up at the stars in the sky and softly asked, Mark, all this time, what have I truly been to you? I didn't know if Marcus Reed heard my words. But a moment later, his shoulder suddenly dropped, and his head rested completely on mine. I stood in this position on the balcony for a long time. It wasn't until the night wind picked up that I turned, skillfully hoisted him onto my shoulder, and helped him back into the room. As I tucked in the corner of the blanket for him and was about to leave, he suddenly pulled me into his arms, murmuring in his sleep, Stella, you won't leave me, will you? For the first time, I fell silent on this question. I was an orphan. From the day I was brought to the Reed estate, I knew my future was to be Marcus Reed's wife. I had been with him at the Reed estate for 8 years. Later, when trouble hit the Reed estate, we relied on each other and went through 5 more years. Excluding the 5 years he was abroad, I had spent a full 17 years with him. Before today, I also thought I would never leave him in this lifetime. But Marcus Reed, you're getting married, and I'm not the bride. In the future, what identity should I have to remain by your side? If we hadn't crossed a line, I could still openly be called your sister. But in this world, there are no what-ifs. Slipping out of Marcus Reed's embrace, I found myself wide awake. Opening the study, I saw walls covered with photos of us together. I took down each of these photos, not even sparing those in his desk drawer. I had raised him for over a decade, and now he had found someone better. How could I bear to ruin it? My finger brushed the mouse, and the screen lit up, revealing a beautiful wedding ring design. It was a wedding ring he had designed to propose to me. I had secretly seen this ring more than once, and each time my heart had bloomed with girlish delight. Now, the initials on the women's diamond ring had been changed to Scarlett Hayes. Outside, the night was pitch black, a storm brewing. I threw the last photo into a cardboard box and sat hugging my knees on the bay window. Habitually, I opened my tablet, and an unfinished wedding dress design appeared on the screen. It was what I had designed for our wedding. I had revised it for nearly 2 years, but it always felt incomplete. Now that I wouldn't wear it, it somehow completed that sense of incompleteness. Without a moment's hesitation, I dragged the design into the trash can. Just like deleting this inherently unequal relationship, I moved out of the villa. In the Reed estate old manor, only Mr. Miller and I remained. When Marcus Reed came looking for me, I was lying in a rocking chair, enjoying the cool air. He squatted beside me, full of resignation. It's been 2 days. You've had time to cool off. Will you come back with me? I opened my eyes and looked at Marcus Reed, finding it amusing. Marcus Reed, I've raised you for 10 years. When have I ever gotten mad at you? Marcus Reed's expression stiffened, and he seemed about to speak but held back. I thought about it and decided it was necessary to make things clear to him. Marcus Reed, I moved out not because I'm mad at you, but because it's no longer appropriate for us to live together. In a couple of days, I'll go to the company to submit my resignation letter, and after your wedding. Enough. My words were cut short by Marcus Reed's sharp exclamation. He stood up, his face pale with suppressed anger. Still saying you're not making a scene? It's just a wedding. Do you have to be so petty about it? I can't marry you anyway, so what difference does it make who I marry? Besides, the Hayes family can help us establish ourselves. Why can't you understand that? Having said that, as if exasperated, he turned and left. But I, because of his last words, couldn't snap out of it for a long time. He said, "I can't marry you anyway." Yet, on a rainy night 2 years ago, when he drunkenly pinned me against the wall, what he said was clear. "Stella, will you marry me, please?" At that moment, I was stunned. Before I could answer, his warm lips moved from my forehead down, fiercely biting my lips. "You don't want to, Stella?" I gasped for breath, using almost all my strength to push him away. "Mark, you're drunk." He looked at me, his eyes brimming with tears, utterly wronged. "I'm not drunk. Stella, don't you lick me?" My throat constricted. For a moment, I didn't know how to respond to him. Then, feeling wronged, he started to cry. "Stella, please say yes, okay? You know, all these years, without you, there's no way I could have made it through alone. Stella, if you're not by my side for the rest of my life, what's the point of me holding on to Reed Corporation?" Scalding tears streamed down my neck and into my chest, burning away my last shred of rationality. I desperately pushed against his chest. "Mark, you need to think this through. Your status is different now. You can have better options. I don't want anyone else. For me, Stella is the best choice." All my defenses crumbled with his fervent vows. But now, he says he can't marry me. I couldn't stop laughing, but the laughter choked me, bringing tears to my eyes. His text message came through, its harshness palpable even through the screen. "You want to resign? Fine. Scarlett wants to take a position at the company anyway. Don't wait 2 days, just come in tomorrow and clear out your spot as soon as possible. I couldn't go. He didn't know I had just had an abortion procedure this morning, and the doctor told me to stay in bed for 5 days. As if to deliberately spite me, Marcus Reed added Scarlett Hayes to the team chat the very next day. "Everyone, please welcome our new design director. After Scarlett Hayes's graceful introduction, the HR manager cautiously asked, "What about Director Larkin?" Marcus Reed said nothing, and a heavy silence fell over the group chat. It was Scarlett Hayes who stepped forward to smooth things over. "Director Larkin is temporarily going to Catalina Island to help us arrange the wedding venue, so I'll be handling her duties for now. Please guide me in the future." Her lively personality brought activity back to the team chat. But looking at that line, I sighed helplessly. Scarlett Hayes's words put me on the spot. If I resigned then, it would not only seem like a slap in Scarlett Hayes's face, but also easily reveal that Marcus Reed and I were at odds. Staring at the screen for a long time, I set the messages to mute. So, just as Scarlett Hayes said, I would handle their wedding, and then I would resign. 5 days later, after saying goodbye to Mr. Miller, I flew to Catalina Island. Catalina Island was beautiful, which helped improve my mood considerably. I assembled a team, and we would confirm all aspects of the wedding venue setup, staging, and so on, with Scarlett Hayes. Scarlett Hayes was also easy to work with, communicating promptly whenever there were issues. Everything was unreasonably harmonious. Until one night, Scarlett Hayes excitedly sent me a wedding dress design. "Stella, this is the wedding dress Mark designed for me himself. Isn't it beautiful?" I clicked on the image, and there it was, the latest version of my own wedding dress design. But I had deleted that design. I suddenly remembered that I had sent what I considered the best revised version to Marcus Reed for his review. An unprecedented rage roared in my chest. I picked up my phone and quickly dialed Marcus Reed's number. The phone rang for a long time, finally answered just as it was about to go to voicemail. Before I could speak, Marcus Reed's languid voice came from the other end of the line. "What do you want?" I paused, struggling to suppress the tremor in my voice as I spoke. "Marcus Reed, why did you give that wedding dress design to Scarlett Hayes?" Marcus Reed was silent for a moment, then said indifferently, "What does it matter? You weren't going to use it anyway." Gritting my teeth, for the first time I showed my emotions in front of Marcus Reed. "That's still no reason for you to give away my things. Marcus Reed, that design was mine. Did you ever consider what would happen if Scarlett knew the meaning behind that wedding dress?" After a series of silences, Marcus Reed's voice grew colder. "Then don't let her know. Unless you want to ruin this wedding." The call ended. I stood with my mouth open, realizing for the first time that the boy I had raised for 10 years had become so utterly barely recognizable. He could take something that was a product of our love and give it away, and he could righteously threaten me. The day before the wedding, Marcus Reed and Scarlett Hayes flew over. It was also my first time seeing the wedding dress I designed made into a finished product. It was beautiful, even more stunning than I had imagined. Scarlett Hayes took my hand and asked me to accompany her to try on the wedding dress. I had no reason to refuse. But after we entered the dressing room, her face suddenly changed. She threw my hand away, grabbed a pair of scissors, and frantically shredded the wedding dress. I froze for a moment. Just as I was about to stop her, she kicked over a stool, slapped herself hard, and then collapsed onto the floor. Before I could react, the dressing room door was kicked open. Marcus Reed rushed in. Scarlett Hayes covered her face, crying even more miserably. "I'm sorry, Stella, I really didn't know this wedding dress was one you designed for yourself. If I had known, I would never have claimed it as my own." Hearing this, Marcus Reed's face darkened. "She hit you?" Scarlett Hayes turned her face away, refusing to speak. Marcus Reed, however, as if he understood everything, turned to me and, without a word, slapped me across the face. The taste of blood filled my mouth. I turned my head, unable to believe that Marcus Reed would one day lay a hand on me. Scarlett Hayes rushed forward and held on to Marcus Reed. "Mark, how could you hit Stella? This isn't Stella's fault at all, it's ours. It's just that the wedding is tomorrow. Where are we going to get another wedding dress?" Marcus Reed looked at me, a cold sneer playing on his lips. "Don't worry. Stella Larkin is best at seamless repair. Since she ruined the wedding dress, she can repair it perfectly herself. Surprise." Seeing the stinging in my eyes, I turned back, wiped the blood from the corner of my lips, and smiled. Yes, I was best at seamless repair. But how I developed this skill, had he forgotten? Back then, when the Reed estate had just collapsed, I took him with me, often going hungry, and creditors frequently showed up at our door. Still underage, I couldn't find work. Only one craftsman was willing to give me a meal. But it was just that, a single meal. I couldn't afford to support Marcus Reed, let alone pay back the interest the creditors demanded. To get by and live a stable life as quickly as possible, I practiced my craft day and night. Once my skills improved, I actively took on work from my master to do at home. Bit by bit, my skills became better and better, and my master valued me more, giving me a portion of the payment for the jobs. I remember one time I pushed myself so hard that my eyes suddenly couldn't see anything clearly and wouldn't stop watering. Marcus Reed held me, crying and swearing. "Stella, when I grow up, I'll never let you sew clothes again." But now, not only was he making me sew a wedding dress for the person who slandered me, but he also wanted me to restore it to its original state overnight. For the first time, I felt disappointed in Marcus Reed. "Marcus Reed, I raised you for 10 years. Is this how you repay me? You didn't even ask a single question, just took her word for it and condemned me, didn't you?" Marcus Reed showed no remorse. Instead, he pulled Scarlett Hayes into his embrace. "Stella Larkin, don't bring up favors with me. If we're talking favors, without Mrs. Reed, you'd have been long gone. I'm tired of hearing your excuses. Didn't you say you wanted to repay Mrs. Reed? Then fix this wedding dress tonight." With that, he pushed past me with Scarlett Hayes and walked out. I swayed a step, tears streaming down my cheeks. "If I sew this wedding dress, will we be even?" Marcus Reed paused slightly, but said nothing, still leavin'. "Gee," with Scarlett Hayes. I sniffed, and picked up the shredded wedding dress. The wedding dress's material was special. Repairing it required matching material and silk thread of the same color. Fortunately, it was made of the same type of material as an evening gown Marcus Reed had given me. I locked myself in the hotel room, unstitching all night and sewing all night. My fingers were pricked with countless bloody puncture marks before I finally restored the wedding dress. When I rushed to deliver it just before the wedding, Scarlett Hayes was already wearing another, more lavish wedding dress. She looked at me with feigned surprise. "Oh, Stella, you really sewed all night?" I was afraid it wouldn't be ready in time, so I had my best friend buy one and send it overnight." "I'm sorry, Stella." I smiled and put the wedding dress back into the bag. "It's fine, as long as it doesn't affect your wedding." As Marcus Reed walked Scarlett Hayes to the center of the stage, I threw the wedding dress I had spent all night mending into the trash can. "Mrs. Reed, I kept my promise to you. From now on, I'm going to live my own life." Back at the hotel, my electronic resignation landed in the HR manager's inbox. Dragging my luggage, I left Catalina Island without looking back. And forever, left Marcus Reed. On the wedding stage, the host delivered the congratulatory remarks. Marcus Reed distractedly scanned the crowd, frowning when he didn't see me. Just before the wedding, his good friend Nolan asked him, "It's one thing that you're not marrying Stella Larkin, but you're making her host your wedding? That's utterly cruel. Aren't you afraid she'll leave you?" He confidently replied, "Leave? She's an orphan. Where would she go without me? So you just casually humiliate her?" You knew Scarlett Hayes falsely accused her, yet you still laid a hand on her? He was silent for a long time, then only said one thing. She's very strong, she won't take it to heart. But now, he couldn't help but feel a sudden panic. Scarlett Hayes lightly nudged his arm. What's wrong? Are you not happy marrying me? Marcus Reed then forced himself to smile again. Who said that? I'm just a little nervous. Scarlett Hayes chuckled softly. Really? Won't you be even more nervous in a moment? Her voice was light, imbued with cunning. Marcus Reed hadn't heard clearly and turned his head to look at her. What? Scarlett Hayes didn't speak. Just then, the host mentioned playing a video of their beautiful memories. Scarlett Hayes snapped her fingers. Look, it's my favorite part. The screen changed. What should have been happy photos of the couple now showed scandalous scenes of Marcus Reed and me entangled. Marcus Reed's face turned cold again. However slow-witted he might be, he now understood Scarlett Hayes's previous words. Scarlett Hayes, what is the meaning of this? Scarlett Hayes innocently blinked her large eyes. Isn't it obvious what I mean? Mr. Reed clearly loves his Stella, so why won't he admit it? You. Just as Marcus Reed was about to close in on her, camera shutters clicked rapidly from the audience, capturing the scandalous scenes on screen. Scarlett Hayes gave him a playful smile. Mark, don't rush. There's an even bigger surprise, look. As her words fell, my solitary figure appeared in the hospital corridor. My pregnancy test results, pre-op and post-op reports were magnified one by one on the screen. Marcus Reed's face gradually turned pale, and a look of bewilderment spread across it. Stella Larkin was pregnant? No, impossible. If she was pregnant, why didn't she tell him? Scarlett Hayes, however, feigned innocence and blinked at him. Mark, tell me, whose child did Stella carry? Marcus Reed looked up, his eyes bloodshot. Scarlett Hayes, these are all fake, aren't they? What exactly are you trying to do? Scarlett Hayes pouted. They're not fake at all. These are all real. Mark, don't deny it. Can't you see all those official hospital L stamps? You don't even need to check. Just one phone call, and you'll know everything. At Scarlett Hayes's prompting, Marcus Reed frantically pulled out his phone and dialed his personal assistant. 2 minutes later, his phone slipped from his hand, crashed onto the table, and shattered. Stella Larkin. He stumbled as he ran out, but was stopped by 2 security guards as he descended the stage. Get out of my way. He roared, but no one listened to him. Marcus Reed turned back to Scarlett Hayes. Tell them to get out of my way. Scarlett Hayes didn't press the issue. She simply smiled faintly and waved her hand, and the security guards retreated. What Marcus Reed didn't know was that after he left, Scarlett Hayes shed tears on the stage. She vehemently condemned Marcus Reed for playing both sides, for betraying me, and for toying with her. When Marcus Reed rushed to the hotel, the room that had been mine was already empty. He borrowed the front desk's phone to call me, but it said my phone was off. He rushed to the airport in a daze, while anger and dread swelled uncontrollably in his chest. Stella Larkin, how dare you get pregnant with my child and then abort it without a word? How dare you leave completely? I didn't return to Crestwood, but instead booked a ticket to Riverton. What I hadn't told Marcus Reed was that my relatives had found me half a year ago. It turned out I still had a grandpa Arthur Larkin and a brother I had never met in this world. If the paternity test results hadn't been right in front of me, I wouldn't have believed it was true. However, I didn't go back to Riverton with Grandpa Arthur Larkin. I thought Marcus Reed needed me, just as his vows had said, that without me, Reed Corporation would be meaningless to him. As for Grandpa Arthur Larkin, since we hadn't spent any time together, I assumed his feelings for me weren't very deep. But when I got off the plane, the old man standing at the arrival gate trembled uncontrollably. When he saw me, his body stooped. Star, you've finally come back. His eyes were red-rimmed, his step small yet wide. He hugged me tightly, and tears unconsciously streamed down my face. Grandpa Arthur Larkin. This was the first time I had used such an intimate address, and the first time I had felt the power of familial love. Though we had never spent time together, the embrace felt so natural, so warm. Leo Larkin, standing nearby, pouted discontentedly. Grandpa Arthur Larkin, you've been hugging her for so long. It's my turn now, isn't it? I pulled out of Grandpa Arthur Larkin's embrace and looked at the tall boy who resembled me by 70%. This was my biological brother? He opened his arms to me and sweetly called out, Stella. I smiled and hugged him back. The Larkin family home was a charming bungalow filled with flowers. Leo Larkin told me these were all Mom's favorite flowers when she was alive. Mentioning Mother, Grandpa Arthur Larkin took my hand and led me to a room at the end of the corridor. Opening the door, 3 memorial photos on a mahogany table came into view. Grandpa Arthur Larkin pointed to the young woman's photo and told me, "This is your mom, next to her is your dad, and the one on the far right is your grandma Grace Larkin." As he spoke, Leo Larkin took some incense, lit it, and handed it to me. "Stella, offer some incense to mom and dad." I obediently took the incense and knelt on the kneeling mat. Grandpa Arthur Larkin's tears fell instantly. "William Larkin, Clara Larkin, I found your daughter for you. Now, you two be well on the other side. Rest in peace and find your way, okay?" Coming out of the room, Grandpa Arthur Larkin pulled me to sit on the sofa, and then began to speak of my childhood. The Larkin family was once preeminent in Riverton. However, a tall tree catches the wind. The Larkin family thus became an eyesore to many. Later, the Larkin family was plotted against by rivals and faced a major crisis. The sea. Lands that used to curry favor with the Larkin family offered no help. Instead, they kicked them while they were down. It was like adding insult to injury. It was under those circumstances that the plane carrying my mom and dad crashed. When Grandpa Arthur Larkin, who had been traveling abroad, rushed back after receiving the news, Larkin Holdings was already left in ruins. Worst of all, Leo Larkin and I had been abandoned by our nanny, who hadn't been paid, and we were long gone, no one knew where. Fortunately, Grandpa Arthur Larkin was also a seasoned veteran and quickly recovered from the blow. He simultaneously reorganized Larkin Holdings' remaining assets and entrusted contacts to inquire about my brothers and my whereabouts. Because Leo Larkin was young and a boy, Grandpa Arthur Larkin quickly found him in the orphanage. As for me, I had a fever at the time, crying and looking for my brother, but I ran farther and farther, encountered human traffickers along the way, and was trafficked through several cities. Later, in Crestwood, I was rescued by a kind person and then sent to the orphanage. And later still, came the matter of Mrs. Reed adopting me. I had been in the orphanage since I could remember, so I had no recollection of having a family. I used to think I was an abandoned child, unloved. But when Grandpa Arthur Larkin took out my childhood photo album, I realized that I, too, was a child cherished by my parents. That night, back at the Larkin family home, I had my first beautiful dream. In my dream, the gentle hand caressing my head was no longer Mrs. Reed's, but my mom and dad's. They walked hand in hand with me, taking me to plant flowers in front of the house. Sunlight streamed through the window, and I woke up smiling from my dream. Grandpa Arthur Larkin said he wanted to hold a family recognition ceremony for me, so that the high society of Riverton would all get to know me. Leo Larkin said he wanted to take me shopping and also sort out the legal identity matters. When I received my new ID card, I saw my new name, Stella Larkin. Putting away my ID card, Leo Larkin specially took me shopping all afternoon. Any piece of jewelry I glanced at twice, he bought it decisively. This couldn't help but remind me of Marcus Reed. During those 2 years of intense affection, he made me countless empty promises. "When I have time, I'll definitely take you shopping through every mall. When I reclaim Reed Corporation, I'll buy you everything you like." Wait. But after Reed Corporation returned to its peak, he just tossed me an unlimited black card. "Buy whatever you like, don't hold back for my sake." Those empty promises he had made ultimately became eternal regrets, transformed by another excuse. And that regret was remedied today, one by one, by my biological brother. To accompany me shopping, he rescheduled an executive meeting, specifically clearing his entire day. I didn't need to say what I liked, he would observe carefully and then generously buy it. In the evening, he had his driver send my purchases back and then took me to his guys' night out. However, when he pushed open the door to the high-end VIP room, the originally boisterous private room fell silent upon seeing my face. I didn't like bars, but when the door to the high-end VIP room opened and the distinguished young men on the sofas all stood up and politely called me Stella, I was happy. Unlike Marcus Reed's friends, they didn't call random escorts and treated the servers with gentleness and politeness. They even carefully placed cushions under the knees of the servers pouring wine. Fearing I might be bored, 2 of them even called their own sisters to introduce them to me for company. During the dinner, a trending topic popped up on my phone. I tapped on it, and a video of Marcus Reed's wedding scene was played. I had thought this wedding would proceed smoothly. But who knew, Scarlett Hayes exposed my relationship with Marcus Reed at the wedding. She loudly proclaimed the truth that Marcus Reed was a jerk, causing the incident to flare up intensely online. The wedding naturally didn't continue, and Marcus Reed's departure from the wedding scene to find me was interpreted as a heartless abandonment of Scarlett Hayes. Immediately, utter panic spread online, with widespread boycotts against Reed Corporation. Hayes Industries, meanwhile, became the object of their sympathy. Leo Larkin had come over without me noticing. Seeing the content, his face turned extremely grim. Playing such dirty games, and daring to drag my Stella into it? Come on, Stella, let's go home and talk to Grandpa Arthur Larkin. Leo Larkin simply pulled me along, and we went back home. I don't know what he said to Grandpa Arthur Larkin, but the next day, any trending topics mentioning me had completely disappeared online. This was undoubtedly a disguised help to Marcus Reed. But Marcus Reed didn't care about any of this. Even though Reed Corporation's stock prices plummeted, he still desperately searched for me. He seemed possessed, frantically wanting to find me and ask one question: why did you abort his child? However, on the third day, I became a hot commodity throughout Riverton. Larkin Holdings had always had a rumor of being passed down through the female line. Now that Grandpa Arthur Larkin had recognized me and publicly announced me as Larkin Holdings' eldest daughter, it was bound to make people wonder. All at once, people came in droves to Grandpa Arthur Larkin to propose marriage. I rejected all of them. Seeing my determination not to marry, Grandpa Arthur Larkin also publicly announced the idea of seeking a son-in-law to join the family. My photos also spread online with my growing fame. Marcus Reed followed the news and found his way here. When he saw me, his eyes instantly turned red, but the long-held obsession he wanted to ask, he couldn't bring himself to utter. Stella. Hearing his address, Leo Larkin's brow furrowed. Who are you calling Stella? Who's your Stella? Marcus Reed sniffled and reached out to pull me. I'm sorry, I know it was my fault. I was blinded by obsession during this time and made too many mistakes. Shut up. Before he could finish, Leo Larkin directly interrupted him, then smiled and pushed me towards the yard. Stella, you go inside first. I'll handle this trash. I hadn't quite figured out how to face Marcus Reed now, so I went into the yard as he suggested. The yard gate closed behind me. I took a couple of steps, but then stopped by the garden wall. Seeing me leave, Leo Larkin clenched his fist and instantly threw a punch at Marcus Reed. You have the nerve to come looking for my Stella? Reed, I've long investigated your years with my Stella. It's true that your mother did Stella a favor, but even the greatest of those favors must have been repaid by Stella's years of protecting you, right? For the past decade or so, to protect you from those creditors, Stella broke bones and suffered extreme hunger, and even to help you reclaim Reed Corporation sooner, she was force-fed alcohol until hospitalized. To support your education and overseas studies, she worked 3 jobs back-to-back. That kind of life continued for a full 7 years. Each and every one of those was a life-threatening act of kindness, wasn't it? Which one couldn't offset the simple favor of your mother bringing him back to the Reed estate and raising him for those few years? But what about you? What did you take my Stella for? The more he spoke, the angrier he became, and he threw several more hard punches. Marcus Reed groaned repeatedly but didn't even raise a hand to retaliate. Only when Nolan tired from hitting him did he slowly cough up a mouthful of blood. I know I was wrong, so you can hit me or curse me all you want. I just want a chance to talk properly with Stella. A chance? In your dreams. You'll never see my Stella again in this lifetime. Nolan had original. Ly stopped, but hearing that he still wanted to see me, he grew fierce again. He kicked Marcus Reed several times and then took a wrench from his car, weighing it in his hand. Reed, I'll give you one more chance. Get out now, and never appear before my Stella again, and I'll let you off. Marcus Reed lay on the ground, simply chuckled softly. Come on. Fine, you're asking for it. Fearing Nolan might kill him, I sighed and stepped out from behind the garden wall. Stop. When Marcus Reed saw me emerge, a flicker of light appeared in his eyes. Stella, I knew it. You couldn't bear to, could you? I frowned, walked over, and slapped him across the face. Marcus Reed, did you feel that? That's how you hit me that day. Tears streamed down Marcus Reed's cheeks, falling onto the dirt. He looked at me with mournful eyes, his lips trembling, and still only managed 3 words. I'm sorry. I pulled Nolan behind me and scoffed at his apology. What good is I'm sorry? Marcus Reed flinched. But I didn't even spare him a glance, continuing, Marcus Reed, my brother is right. You shouldn't have the audacity to come looking for me again. I raised you for 12 years, yet you used your knowledge of me to hurt me, time and time again. Regarding the strategic marriage, you could have clearly informed me in advance. You also knew perfectly well that I wouldn't have stopped you. But not only did you not, you also forced me to bow my head in front of everyone. Because you were certain I wouldn't expose you, wouldn't let the Reed family become the laughingstock of Crestwood again. To draw a clear line between us, you knew I would be heartbroken, yet you still proposed that I manage the wedding. Marcus Reed, even then, I wanted to ask you, why were you so cruel to me? Marcus Reed opened his mouth, wanting to argue, but I didn't give him the chance. That wedding dress, you must have known I didn't ruin it, right? But you still hit me and unconditionally sided with SC. Scarlett Hayes. You said you were doing it to help Reed Corporation gain a firm footing. Fine, I'll let you have your way. Having raised you for 12 years, my feelings for you were certainly not just love. I'm willing to let you have your way for the sake of 18 years of family companionship. With this, we are even. Why, then, are you still looking for me? Marcus Reed's fingers dug deep into the dirt. He buried his head, as if enduring immense pain. Stella, I was wrong, but what about the baby? What wrong did it do? I looked at Marcus Reed in surprise. Are you truly clueless, or are you just pretending to be? Marcus Reed, you'd already decided to marry someone else. Was I supposed to let my child bear the stigma of being illegitimate? Marcus Reed, you made your own choice. By giving our wedding dress and our rings to Scarlett Hayes, weren't you telling me not to have any inappropriate thoughts? Just as Marcus Reed understood me, I understood his every decision. He was reckless, audacious, wanting to have it all, simply because he was convinced I would never leave him. But he forgot, I have always been a person of principles. I could compromise for him repeatedly, but my bottom line would never be crossed. With all his past intentions laid bare, Marcus Reed's shoulders slumped. He sank down where he stood, his expression a mix of tears and laughter. So, you knew everything. I looked up at the setting sun, which bled across the sky, and gently said to Marcus Reed, go home. Whatever connection we had, be it gratitude or love, it ends here. It's best if we never see each other again. Marcus Reed left. He stumbled forward, his steps quickening until he was running at full speed. His cries were loud, carried far away by the wind. Reed Corporation had collapsed again. Marcus Reed had taken 2 years to build it up, only to bring it crashing down in 2 months. It shouldn't have happened so quickly. But after returning, Marcus Reed became utterly listless and neglected the company entirely. Overdue client orders, material defects, insufficient funds requiring a rebid. He simply ignored it all. Nolan tried to shake him out of it and gave him a beating. But just as he'd once vowed, without me, he felt his remaining life was meaningless. So he locked himself in what used to be my room, getting falling down drunk every day. The day Reed Corporation officially declared bankruptcy, Marcus Reed died in my room. It was gastric perforation and severe alcohol poisoning. It was as if he had fulfilled his old vow. Without me, the Reed estate and the rest of his life truly held no meaning for him. Yet, I felt neither pity nor emotion. I simply felt a pang of sadness. The boy I had fought so hard to raise, I don't know when he had drifted away with the wind. I became the CEO of Larkin Holdings. Leo Larkin, far from being resentful, assisted me wholeheartedly. In just half a year, I had organized all of Larkin Holdings' operations meticulously. Grandpa Arthur Larkin praised my talent. He didn't know I had taught myself financial systems so I could have common ground with Marcus Reed. Later, he returned to the country. To become his right hand, I followed him in everything he did. I had higher emotional intelligence than Marcus Reed and was more rational. So often, things he couldn't resolve, he'd entrust to me. After so many years by his side, I'd simply absorbed it all. During a new project's bidding process, I unexpectedly ran into Scarlett Hayes. After the Hayes family acquired Reed Corporation, they had become Crestwood's dominant power. And she had now taken over Hayes Industries. She invited me for coffee, and I didn't refuse. As soon as we sat down, she started apologizing. She said her reason for setting me up back then was just to create a rift between Marcus Reed and me. When she mentioned Marcus Reed, she scoffed, he's just a jerk. Did he really think he was a hot commodity everyone would buy? Tea over? Are you done? After downing the last of my coffee, I gave her a faint, indifferent smile. Scarlett Hayes, the only reason I'm sitting here today is to tell you one thing. Those underhanded tactics won't guarantee you endless victories. This was my official declaration of war on Hayes Industries, and Scarlett Hayes understood it. Afterward, she came up with endless tricks, but I'd always been careful in my dealings, giving her no openings to exploit. In this bidding process, she ultimately lost. But I wanted more than just that. I acquired a branch company in Crestwood, positioning Leo Larkin to manage it while I provided remote guidance. I grew this branch company over 2 years, and in 3, it absorbed Hayes Industries. The day Hayes Industries was fully integrated into Larkin Family Holdings, Scarlett Hayes arranged to meet me at the beach. She asked me, all this effort, was it for Marcus Reed? You want to get revenge for him? But I don't understand, he clearly betrayed you, don't you hate him? The waves rose and fell, and my voice was calm. No, I don't. As for whether I did all this for Marcus Reed or for something else, who can truly say? I only know that I wanted to do it, and I had the power to do it. After leaving Scarlett Hayes, I went to the cemetery. Mrs. Reed's smile was still there, but I no longer believed her love was the only kind I'd ever receive. In the future, I would meet many warm people and experience all kinds of love. I would keep moving forward, never looking back. End.